to Career Uprising. I'm your host and professional career coach, Lorraine Rise. Join me as I guide you through an amazing journey of self-discovery and empowerment. If you are looking for work, changing careers, or stuck in a toxic job, then this is the show for you. I offer both practical and spiritual guidance to help you up-level and advance your career. Let's start the uprising. Hey everybody, you are listening to episode 162, Why the Job Search is Harder Today. Welcome to the show. I'm Lorraine Rise. I hope that you are doing well today. Summer is here. It's beautiful and warm in Virginia. I love it. Probably my favorite time of year. So happy that you have joined me. If you're not familiar with what we do, go to careeruprising.com while you listen to the show, if you can, if you're not driving, and learn more about how we help mid and late career professionals to land new jobs, advance their careers, earn more money, more confidence, anything they need. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is why the job search is so hard. And it is today in particular. If you're on LinkedIn at all, you probably see all the chatter and all the news articles as well about how difficult the job market is right now, because it is. So it's not just you. It's the message I want to give to you today. If you are job searching and struggling, you are not crazy. This is when I was kind of going through a number of topics and thinking about what I want to talk about today. This really is the most prominent thing on my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds. It is so damn hard to find work right now. It is taking people a long time. There really is just something different about today's market. I think even compared to a year or so ago, I see it all over LinkedIn, and I'm hearing it also from clients and from prospects. And I think it's funny too, because even my husband can tell the difference. He's, even if he's not job searching as a software engineer, he's routinely getting cold outreach from recruiters all the time. He doesn't even really have to apply for a job, but he always tells me when he gets an uptick or downtick in the number of messages he gets from recruiters. It's kind of like a pulse he has on the job market. So even his inbox has been a little bit quiet lately. So something is going on for sure. And especially if you've ever heard these things, this is what I am hearing from people big time. They say things like, I've never needed a resume to get a job. Now I can't get a single call back. Or I've applied to over 100 jobs and barely even gotten an interview. Or even I've gone on 9 rounds of interviews with multiple companies and no offers. There's a number of trends happening right now. But if you've said any of those things, you are in good company, my friend. As many people are having that experience right now. We've got recruiters ghosting people, I think, like never before. We've got fake job postings. We've got job scams and marathon rounds of interviews with no offers and maybe even hiring nobody. What is going on? Why is it so hard to find a job right now? Well, I think that there's a couple of reasons. It's not one thing. I'm going to run through a couple of ideas and observations that I have about what might be contributing to this right now. But I think that it is definitely a multifaceted issue. But more than anything, my takeaway for you today is to hang in there. You're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. It is a difficult market right now, especially for remote work. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. But it is going to take an excellent resume and, more than that, an excellent strategy with networking and outreach and persistence. It's going to take a pretty robust strategy to land a job these days. And it's simply also going to probably take more time. But let's dig in to a couple of factors that I think we're going to run through the first couple, and then we'll take a quick commercial break, and there's a lot more. I think I have about 7 things happening right now. I told you this was very multifaceted. But number one, the most obvious thing, it's the economy, stupid. Sorry, I couldn't resist that corny joke. But it really is the economy. I think that is one of the biggest things that is influencing this right now. We have rebounded somewhat from the pandemic, but not completely. We haven't completely come back, I don't think, to pre-pandemic job market and economy. So that is still a factor. There are daily stories in the news about companies laying off thousands and thousands of workers. It seems like almost every day on LinkedIn, there's another company announcing rounds of layoffs. So there are simply less jobs out there. Absolutely. And it kind of makes sense, with inflation being what it is, companies often tighten up the purse strings a little bit and maybe pull back on hiring. So that is the baseline factor, I believe, of what is going on. But also compounding that, number 2, is that we also know that voluntary quit rates are down, meaning people are not voluntarily quitting their jobs as much as they were a few years ago. And that likely is partly because of reason number 1 with the economy. Because when the economy is bad and layoffs are happening, what else happens? Well, people who do have jobs probably are going to stay in them and hold on to them and not take a risk with a new one. So that compounds the issue even more. And there are a lot of statistics and articles out there showing that the quit rates right now are the lowest they have been in years. So overall, the job openings are smaller than we want them to be. The third thing is also compounding all of this. It's an election year. Election years make things a little crazy. They can really bring mixed results in terms of the job market. I think what an election year ultimately represents is uncertainty. And this year's election is going to be particularly contentious, as I think the last couple have been, but this is really, really a contentious one. So some businesses are likely going to wait and see what happens before pushing forward with more positions and hiring. It's just a lot of uncertainty. So it's kind of a hurry up and wait and see until perhaps next year or sometime after November. So those are the first 3 things happening, but there's a lot more. Let's take just a quick commercial break here. And then when we come back, I'm going to go through about 4 or 5 more factors that are contributing to this and making it difficult. But we're also going to talk a little bit about what you can do to be successful in the job search right now. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey there, listeners. Thanks for tuning in to Career Uprising. I have some exciting news for you. This show has been going steady since 2018, and I have amassed well over 100 episodes so far. So I decided to do something big and bold. I put the best of all of my teachings together in a book. That's right. I have a brand new book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all the major outlets. It's called What You Didn't Learn in School: Lessons on Growth, Change, and Living Your Best Life. This book contains 30 powerful lessons from my podcast and my work as a career coach to help you live your best life. Learn how to increase your confidence, get rid of imposter syndrome forever, finally get clarity on your career path, and so much more. This book covers everything from careers to finances to health to relationships and more. Head over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your favorite book retailer and pre-order your copy of What You Didn't Learn in School. Then go to my website, careeruprising.com, to learn more about how Career Uprising can help you transform your career and your life. Let's get back to the show. All right, we are back, and I've got a couple more factors here for you to consider to understand what is happening in the tough job market right now. So number 4 is the rise of online job boards. So job boards themselves are not really anything new. They've been around for quite a few years, but they have grown and grown over the years in popularity, and they're pretty much ubiquitous at this point. There's a job board for nearly every industry, and that means applicants are absolutely flooding the market, both actively and passively, and there's an incredible amount of applicants, sometimes thousands, for each job posting. And the problem is that a lot of these applicants are not even remotely qualified. You would be amazed at what people will apply for that is completely irrelevant to their experience, and it is clogging the system. And I'm going to give you a quick example. I recently posted an opening myself for another resume writer, and I only posted it in one place on LinkedIn, and it blew my mind as some of the bizarre submissions that I got. And I appreciate all of my applicants, not to sound that way. I love the interest that I got. But some of them had zero experience in resume writing or anything related to it. And it was just mystifying what they saw in my job posting that interested them or made them feel that they were qualified. It really is incredible. So job seekers, please make sure that you are applying to jobs that are relevant and that you are qualified for, because otherwise it just bogs down the system for everybody. And then recruiters have to spend time sifting through completely irrelevant submissions. And a lot of times we rag on recruiters because they ghost us, and sometimes they do. But why would they bother replying to a completely irrelevant submission, right? So they're just not going to do that. That's not a good use of time. So I know it's frustrating when you are qualified and they still don't reply, but a lot of times you have to understand too, your application might not even get read on the job board. A lot of them don't even get seen. There's just too many. They don't sift through them all, and it depends on how their applicant tracking system sorts or ranks them. If it does, there's so many factors. You just don't know what is happening on the other end. And I can guarantee you a lot of times it's not that they're rejecting you, you're just not even getting seen, which is why networking is so important and using other methods. But that's kind of an aside. But that is something that is contributing to this is way too many applicants, and recruiters are overwhelmed, and a lot of people are just unqualified. They really are. So that is part of this as well. Number 5, there is also an imbalance in supply and demand for remote work. So what I mean by that is there is very high interest and demand for remote work, but not that much supply. Unfortunately, the pendulum has swung back in the other direction after the pandemic, and a lot of employers now want people back in the office, at least on a hybrid schedule, if not full-time. Good grief. I'm really disappointed by this, but I understand. I think it's good to have options, and I don't think the office should go away totally. But I have to say, post-pandemic, I am a little disappointed to see that the pendulum has swung so far in the opposite direction, and there are not as many remote postings as you would think. So just know, if you are only targeting a remote job, that is going to lengthen your search. You will have even more competition. So if you are open to hybrid or on-site, please make that known to the employer because that could help your job search. If you are willing to target those jobs, they will have far, far less applicants, and you might actually be able to get employed sooner in that case. Number 6, scams and fake postings. There's a lot of chatter on LinkedIn about job search scams and job postings that are not even real. And to some degree, I do think that this is true and this is a thing. And it's making the process even more convoluted and difficult for people. So in terms of fake postings in particular, I got to thinking about this concept and in my time as a recruiter and whether or not I noticed this in my experience. And at first I didn't think so, but the more I think about it, fake postings are real. I actually do think I can think of examples now. of times when employers I've worked for whatever reason, have had postings that are just kind of collecting resumes. So, for example, sometimes there were future opportunities, particularly in government contracting, that we were hoping to get, thinking that we might, but no actual opening. And we would open a requisition to start collecting resumes for that. That's pretty common. I've also heard some claims that some companies are opening job postings just to project the illusion of growth and keep morale up. That I will say I have not actually witnessed. Maybe, I'm not saying that that's not possible. I've never experienced that, so I don't know to what extent that is true. But I have also seen it done where a company will duplicate a job posting to where it looks like there's more than one, and they do that to get more resumes, or maybe they'll call it something slightly different, or open it at two different levels just to see if they get what they get with senior versus more junior applicants, even though they're only going to hire one person. That is true as well. Very, very possible that that could happen. So it is true, unfortunately, that things are not always what they seem, and it may look like there are more postings out there than there actually are. So I'm sorry, job seekers, but I say all these things to not be discouraging to you, but actually to be encouraging and help you just manage your expectations and know what is going on in the hiring process. And then the last thing, number 7, is this is a little bit different, but it's still something that I think it's drawing out the process and making it difficult, and that is just a long hiring process. It's been a trend for a couple of years now to have these marathon rounds of interviews, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've heard horror stories and aggravation from job seekers about being asked to do ridiculous rounds of interviews, and then maybe even a case study or a project and presentation, and they still don't get hired, or maybe no one gets hired. I am not sure why this is, but employers are obviously hesitant to hire right now. Maybe for some of the reasons that we just stated, some of the economic and external factors that are happening right now. But there is definitely a long, drawn-out process happening right now, and there is hesitation to actually make the hire. And it's possible also that some of this could be due to a reduction in recruiting staff, because I've seen a lot of recruiters getting laid off as well. So maybe companies are running lean and have less people reviewing resumes and having to get the hiring managers more directly involved, but they've got their day jobs. And so it just, people are busy and maybe doing more than one job, and it's really taking a long time to get through the hiring process. That is also very possible as well. So there you have it. There's about 7 things contributing to why the job market absolutely sucks right now. And like I said, I want this to encourage you. I still want you to do all the same things. The basics never go out of style. You do need a good resume. You do need a good cover letter. You do need a good LinkedIn. But in addition to those things, you also need an effective networking strategy. And you're going to also need to be aggressive as much as you can in the number of positions you are applying for. And be thoughtful in your approach. Make sure you're applying for things that you are qualified for as well. I want to give you a realistic expectation of what it's going to take to get hired right now, because there are times when I'll be in a coaching session with a client and I will kind of take inventory of their search, and I will ask, how many jobs have you applied for? Over what period of time? How many interviews have you gotten? I want to see what they're doing and what's working in terms of the volume and the scope. And sometimes I will get answers back that will say, I've been applying for 5 jobs a week and I just don't know why I'm not getting an interview. And I have to just not laugh, but I shudder almost inside, because 5 jobs a week is not going to do it. You're going to need to be applying to a lot more than that. That's a very passive job search. You're going to need an active job search, an active networking in order to be successful. So we've had a lot of great successes with clients. In fact, just one a client I'm working with who's been unemployed for some time actually just got an offer and still has 3 more interviews that she's doing this week. That is a fantastic success. So there are successes out there. I've had a number of people be able to land interviews and offers. So it can be done. I want to be encouraging, but I also want to be realistic, and I want you to have a holistic perspective about what is happening out there and what you can control and what you can't. All right. So there you have it, my friends. You're not alone. Job searching sucks, but we can do it with you. So if you want to take these lessons a step further, reach out to us for coaching or resume writing. You can go to careeruprising.com, book a free call with me. I'd be happy to chat with you. It's low pressure. We want to make sure it's a good fit. And I appreciate you listening. I hope you all have a wonderful start to your summer, and we will have another show soon. Take care. That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you heard today, please consider giving the show a positive review on iTunes. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help to spread the word so that others can learn about the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and I can't wait to connect with you again next time on Career Uprising.
This show is brought to you by inflowradio.com. The best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.